Welcome back to day 28. Today's pose is called Baddha Konasana or bound angle pose, sometimes called cobbler's pose. And it's a great pose for opening up the hips and also can be quite relaxing if we set up in a nice reclined position. So I'm going to show you several options and then you can pick the option. Probably the most restful, we're going to do a breathing practice, will be the reclined option. So optional chair, you can do it seated in the chair if you don't like to come down to the floor. We can do it reclined with our feet on the chair, and we can also use blocks for support. So let's get started. Find a nice comfortable seat, sitting up nice and tall, taking a nice arriving breath, arms out to the side. Take a nice inhale, draw your palms overhead, exhaling, palms together and down. Let's do two more. Nice inhale. Exhale, arms wide. One more time, inhale. And now palms together and down. Got a little ahead of myself. Okay, let's start. Let me just demonstrate. I'll demonstrate multiple versions. Then you can pause the video, grab any props you need to decide which ones you want to do. And then we'll come to do our mini practice. So chair, seated in the chair, nice option. You can grab your chair if you have a block or maybe a folded pillow or a firm folded blanket or a firm pillow. Confused today. We can bring the block out in front of us. So one option, you're sitting forward in your chair, but make sure you can hold on. So whether it's onto the arms of your chair or the seat, we bring our feet together, and then just depending on the flexibility of your hips, maybe your knees, is how close your feet will be to the chair seat. And you want to make sure you're supported. So here, helps if you have some padding under the feet because it can be a little testy on the outer blades of the feet. The option that I like, you can use a blanket there, same as if we use a block. So here I'm resting my heels, the outer blades of my feet on the block, and then let my knees go wide. So you can stay here. If you want to be a little more supportive, you could come back into your chair, but I think we'll miss really getting more opening into the hips. So finding that position that works for you. Another really great option is with the chair seat and laying on the floor and having a nice support of the blanket or pillow for you, bringing your feet to the front of the chair as you lay onto your back. So this is really nice too, nice relaxing, just to allow the knees, the hips to release to the side. So that's a great reclined option. I'm going to push that off to the side. So your seated option, you might have seen yesterday's video, sitting poses in yoga practices. Remember to sit nice and lifted so your hips can get a little higher, maybe so your knees can come down a little farther. Now this one is a nice option for opening up the hips, sitting up nice and tall. Good for yoga practices when you have to come to sitting maybe for a while. You can use your blocks under the knees for support. Also gives you knees something to press down into a little bit so you can sit up nice and tall. And then again, determining where you're at in your body is, can I bring my heels a little bit closer in towards my hips? Still, I'm using my hands on my ankles or my shins to draw my hips a little forward and lengthening my spine. If the knees are really high, take your feet a little farther away from the hips to allow them to release down, hopefully getting a little bit lower than the rib cage. So if you find they're really high, you might be hunching your back. So best option might be a reclined Baddha Konasana, so you can rest in the pose and allow your body to open nice and slowly with support. One of my favorite is reclined Baddha Konasana. So a couple options. You can do reclined just on the floor or using some sort of firm pillow or bolster. So let me show you reclined on the floor as I lay on my back. supporting the head, feet, soles of the feet together, knees wide. Again, you can decide how close the feet are to the body, but a little farther away, just so maybe we're not jamming our lower back, using your blocks outside your calves and your thighs for support, and arms by your side. So this is nice and comfortable. Another really nice supportive option for taking a resting pose and a nice breathing practice, which we're going to do, is use a firm, maybe pillow from your couch. You could also roll up your blanket and use that. So I'm using some blocks under. One is on the flat height, one is on the higher middle height. And I place my bolster here. Now if you have an extra set of blocks, it could be nice to help support under your knees. If that's okay, I might take my blanket in case I need it, just for a little more head support. But make sure your head is in a nice, neutral, comfortable position. And then I come to sit right in front of that bolster and I lay back. So then you can decide, using your blanket, how best to support your neck. So you can see here, this is also a nice chest opener as I allow the shoulders to roll back, hands resting on the floor with the palms facing up. And then I bring the soles of my feet together and let my knees go wide. There's so many versions of this pose to make it nice and supportive for you. Make sure if you're using something like a bolster here that your lower back is nice and supported and you don't feel like it's either way too arched or just not giving you some support in that lower spine. So this is the pose that I'm going to practice today for a nice breathing practice. Give us some time to allow our hips to open. So if you'd like to pause the video now, grab the props that you need to give yourself support, get yourself set up, and then we'll start back together. Okay, so I'm just going to change mine up just a tiny bit here, make it a little bit more supportive, and grab myself a couple more blocks. You could use rolled up beach towels if you don't have some extra blocks. Get yourself ready, find your comfortable position. Soles of the feet together, knees wide. Make sure your head is nice and supported, your neck's in a neutral position so that your nose is not pointing up back behind you. And when you're there, just pausing into that. Noticing if you can make yourself 5 or 10% more comfortable, make those adjustments. Perhaps softening the gaze or close the eyes. Draw your awareness into your breathing. Taking some nice, smooth, easeful breaths in through the nose. And slow, smooth breath out through the nose or the mouth. As you continue, allowing the body to soften, feeling a release in the hips, the legs, the feet. Allowing the shoulders to release back. The arms are relaxed, the hands are soft, belly soft. And then allow your awareness come into the belly, practicing a little belly breath as you inhale through the nose. Let your belly gently press away from the body like you're filling up your belly with air. Exhale as you let it gently draw back in towards the spine. Continuing that, allowing the breath to be nice and smooth. Gentle pause between your inhale and your exhale. Imagine your belly like a balloon inflating with air with each inhale and deflating as you exhale the air out. And then we'll add a little count to the breath on your inhale, counting in for a count of 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhaling longer, starting with 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Continue like that. Inhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. As you continue this extended exhale breath, perhaps extending the exhale even a little bit longer to a count of 7 or 8. This is also called 1-to-2 ratio breath. Inhaling for 4, exhaling for 8, but without creating any stress or strain, forcing or gripping that to happen. Try to allow it to be smooth as you release that exhale out longer than your inhale. Nice smooth inhale through the nose, into the belly, continuing that belly breath as we add a 1-to-2 ratio count. The counting also helps just to allow our mind to focus without wandering. If you find that counting stressful, find that rhythm. Feel the breath longer than the inhale. It's not important that it has to be exactly double the inhale. Allowing the exhale to extend so you release all of the breath comfortably, letting the muscles smooth in the body. Noticing if you're holding any gripping or tension or holding in the body, can you let go of that? We'll stay here for about 4 or 5 more rounds of breath. This is a great pose to practice, maybe at the end of a stressful day, right before bed, anytime you have, to just allow your hips to get a nice gentle release and opening. As you continue to practice, perhaps the knees get a little lower to the floor, the feet get a little closer to the hips, but again, allowing your body to open up in its own time. As you exhale fully next, allow your breathing to come back to your own natural rhythm and pace. Start to wiggle the fingers, wiggle your toes, allow the eyes to open. If you want to stay here longer, certainly do that for yourself. Otherwise, perhaps take your time. Using the hands outside the thighs, bring the knees together, and then slowly rolling off your support or to your side, pressing yourself up to find your nice propped seated position. Remember, always use your props. Your props are your friends. And we'll take a nice closing breath together, arms out to the side. Take a nice inhale, palms overhead. Exhale, palms together and down. Thank you for joining our one pose practice today, Baddha Konasana, or bound angle pose. Hope you enjoyed that. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.